49ers update with what I believe is the most important nugget regarding a potential trade of Myles Garrett. It's morning time here in the South Pacific, and on brand, it just poured rain last night. Hardest rain that I'd ever heard. Kind of like the Tonga room every 20 minutes at that tiki bar in San Francisco. It rains from the ceiling. We'll hear it just flattened the sand. Really cool stuff. Anyway, the Browns actually have to want to trade Myles Garrett. I think people need to get that in their heads. Two things. The first is, yes, Myles Garrett makes sense for the 49ers. If you say it doesn't make sense for the 49ers, I'm not sure that you know what's best for the 49ers. Myles Garrett's 29 years old, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, it's still in his prime, right on cue. It has started raining. Where's the rainbow going to be? It's literally raining right now. Like, it's sunny, but I think you could see that it's raining here in the South Pacific. This is actually awesome. But Myles Garrett is a generational player. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Of course, the 49ers can use him. Of course, they can be better with him on the football team. But Andrew Berry has been the Browns GM since 2020. And I talked to somebody who knows the Browns workings better than we all do. There's a hot seat kind of situation going on there. I don't know where exactly ownership stands with Andrew Berry, but they can't be 100% pleased. This is the team that is now in salary cap hell, that awarded the massive contract to Deshaun Watson. That's the worst contract in the history of the league. That, right now is aging up front. Like, they're not in a good situation. The Browns are in a worse situation now than they were back in 2020 when Andrew Berry took over as GM. So if there is any bit of last hurrah, he's not going to want to trade his best player, Myles Garrett. And trading Myles Garrett would admit capitulation. It would admit defeat. And if he does that, then that could lead to the final straw for Andrew Berry. Yeah, we don't know exactly what Browns ownership is thinking or where Andrew Berry's at himself, but we can surmise, based on the dynamics of the situation, that he wants to hold on to his best player until he's absolutely forced to not to hold on to his best player, in Myles Garrett. So the Browns might overestimate their chances of a contention. They might say, okay, we're just a quarterback away, which they're not. Their offensive line is older than it was a few years ago. I think they're devoid of weapons in general on the offense, and obviously they said just a quarterback away before they got Deshaun Watson, and it's not that easy to find a competent quarterback. So look at how the Rams traded for Von Miller in 2021. That was a mid-season trade. I think a mid-season trade for Deshaun Watson, not for Deshaun Watson, for Myles Garrett is much more likely, because then you might actually be in a position where the Cleveland Browns are forced to play ball and salvage some value before the deadline. It might take a few losses to slap them upside the head and really realize that this is a losing proposition with Myles Garrett on the team to recoup some capital. By then, it's going to be really interesting too, because look at the contract structure for Myles Garrett. $5 million roster bonus coming on the 5th day of the new league year. $13.4 million option bonus has to be paid out on September 1st. So the Browns will have to pay both of those things. And then you have a Christian McCaffrey-like setup. That was in 2022 when the Niners only owed McCaffrey $670,000 for that 2022 season. Yes, the draft capital they had to pay was considerable. More rain, kind of like the Tonga room, different island, right? We're in Moorea, but Tonga's out this way. Talanoa Hufanga calls himself the Tongan Tiger. That's out probably, 1,000 miles that way. But we're still in the South Pacific, and we still have the pouring rain. We also have, as you can see here, the private property sign in French. That's the really cool thing about Moorea and these islands, is that in Tahiti, French Polynesia is literally a French hybridization with the South Pacific. But anyway, Christian McCaffrey cost several draft picks. I'm now doing this show in the pouring rain on the beach, as I predicted, right? Pouring rain and sunshine. How cool is this? McCaffrey cost several draft picks for the 49ers. but he didn't cost a lot of cap money. I think that Myles Garrett might be on the market for a number of draft picks, but maybe not a whole lot of cap money. And now it is time to preserve my camera. We can walk back over this way a little bit, but I think the mic is not gonna like getting this wet. Myles Garrett, potential trade before the deadline for the 49ers or for any other team. Max Crosby, well, hold on to those rumors until you know what the Raiders front office actually wants to do as well. And as far as Deebo Samuel potentially getting traded, I don't think that he necessarily fits the salary structure of a trade. Player-for-player trades in the NFL are very complicated. They're not going to be player-for-player deals unless you can throw in multiple different complex things to make the puzzle piece fit. All right, I'm going to go find the rainbow. We'll talk to you soon. We're in Morea. This is off-season living at its best, deep in the South Pacific, still on the U.S. side of the international date line, but French Polynesia, over 100 islands in this country, which is still tied to France. They actually have a couple senators and 3 assembly members in Paris, so they are represented in the capital. But Morea has been called the most beautiful island in the world by somebody like Charles Frommer, who was a big-time travel guide. So he obviously saw a lot of islands. This one right here is awesome. It is a volcano or a former volcano. And you can tell just the spectacular elevation change that occurs as soon as you get up onto land. It is dramatic and it creates some of the best scenery in the world. It is an atoll, so that means that you have the reef around the whole island, this turquoise water. And I think the best part about all of this is, and it's the most unique part of all of this, is the French Polynesian hybridization of culture. That really, really shocked me when I was getting off the plane yesterday from San Francisco. I mean, restaurants here have the French delicacies, croissants, obviously, the bread, the baguettes, but then they put the seafood onto the French bases. So Margot had this amazing dish last night. She was really hungry when we landed. She needed it bad. I forgot what it was even called, but it had a lot of good seafood, a lot of fresh seafood on French bread. Then there's Tahitian vanilla. So Tahiti is the main island of French Polynesia. It is about a 30-minute ferry ride here from Morea, where we're at right now. Morea is, I would say, a little bit more touristy now, especially over the years since it was truly discovered. A big American resort opened here in 1961. But Tahitian vanilla produced on these islands. Anyway, French Polynesia, we've got the lighting right now. We're here in the time of the year where it's a little extra humid, the rainy season. We're near the equator, so it's never cold here. It's either rainy or it's dry. Summer in the southern hemisphere. Lombardi herself living her very best off-season life.